discard that vulnerability. High Tech Hero puts me at 5, 6,
Hey,
7.
there we go. I just discovered that we'd had our sound not working. That's lovely. All right, welcome to the game, everyone. I hope you appreciated all that insightful discussion we had about our superheroes earlier. All right, so I'm going to come in with a kick and 2 punches. That'll give me 4. I'm going to be going with Dr. Destiny, I believe. Absolutely.
All right. I probably should have shuffled my deck beforehand because I'm going to start off with Kid Flash, so I have to draw a card. I did not think of that, so now I'm holding up the game. Hooray.
Well, you can't shuffle until something forces you to shuffle.
Well, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. That makes me feel better. Thank you.
Something else could have happened to make you put a card on top of your deck, and then you wouldn't be shuffling right now.
So now I have 4 punches and the Helmet of Fate. So 4, 5, 6, and 7. Need to take a look at what...
Say, would you like 2 equipment or 1 equipment?
That might depend on what they all do. Once during each of your turns, you may discard the top card of your deck. I've never seen Rorschach Mask. +2 power. If this is the first card you play this turn, each player discards their hand and draws 4 cards. Wow.
It can be very destructive.
Yeah, I believe that. And
Especially to a player who commonly starts with 6.
Yes.
you know what? I like that. So I'm going to do the Rorschach and Batarang.
Titan's Memorial. The first time you destroy a card during each of your turns, draw a card. Good old classic Heat Vision.
And of course, they come with natural synergy, the two of them.
Harley?
Hard to get to 10, though. No discard pile.
I'll be putting a punch on top.
Put a punch or vulnerability on top of your discard pile.
Or from
Or
your
your
discard
deck.
pile on
Yeah.
top of your deck.
I'll take a
yeah.
punch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gonna take the Heat Vision.
Can't say I blame you.
Hard to argue, yeah.
Doug?
Well, I'll start with Apocalypse. I will discard it.
Whoa. Doug's got big plans going.
Jarvis.
Yeah, he must.
I will discard it.
It's destroyed, isn't it?
It's destroy or discard.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can't keep it on top. That's the downside of it.
Yep, that's why I discarded the kick. Punch. Weakness, double vulnerability for 2.
Good thing there is a 2 for you at least.
And it's a defense.
Yeah, that could have gone a lot worse for you, Doug.
Yes, it could have.
All right, I am, of course, going to stick with the old standby, leading with Bane. Each foe chooses and discards a card.
I will reveal Blue Beetle instead.
I will discard a vulnerability.
And now I am sad. 4, 6, 9. Starro attack. Each foe discards the top card of his deck, and I may play each non-location discarded this way. So I get to play a punch. So I'm at 10, plus whatever Jason's going to give me. I helped him. How dare I help him? I'm just going to go ahead and take Harvest.
You'll not often see a 1 power Starro.
Yeah, except maybe in a 2-player game.
True. But
Cheshire. Each player puts a card with cost 1, 2, or 3 they control or in their hand into the lineup. If you cannot, gain a weakness. I cannot.
I cannot as well.
1, 2, or 3.
good day to have the
cannot.
beetle in my hand.
All right. Wow. That's crazy. At this point in the game, nobody has a cost 1, 2, or 3 card in their hand except maybe Doug.
So it's Dave's turn?
It is Dave's turn.
All right. So I have 2 punches, Starbolt, And Raish.
Do you have any superpowers in your discard pile this turn?
You should have a kick.
I think the kick is shuffled
Oh,
back in, so
okay.
no, I don't.
Okay, well, that's still 7. That's respectable.
Yeah.
That's not bad, all things considered. Let's see here. I need to remind myself what this does after all that last week. Play the top card of your deck. If the cost is 5 or less, you may destroy the card. If you
This
card.
Yes.
Thank you. If you do, leave the card you played in front of you for the rest of the game, and it has ongoing. You may play this card once during each of your turns. At the end of the game, destroy it. Wow, that's a complicated card.
It is. What it actually does is pretty straightforward, though. You just play the top card of your deck, and then you decide whether or not, if it costs 5 or less, you decide whether or not you get to play it every turn the rest of the game. And you basically trade this card for being able to play that every turn.
Definitely has its upsides.
Yes.
I need to remind myself what this one does, though. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Leave one on top and destroy the other one. Plus power equal to the destroyed card's cost. At the end of the game, this is worth 1 victory point for each power ring in your deck.
It's very angry.
Yes, it is. All kinds of cards I haven't really seen. Rage Blood, superpower, plus 2 power. Choose any number of players. Each of those players destroys a card with cost 0 in his discard pile. If one or more destroy a card this way, draw a card. You know what? I could use another superpower to the Starbolt, improve the odds. So.
Okay.
Key thing with the Rage Blood is it's not optional for the player or players you choose. So
Right.
they can't choose to not destroy the 0 cost thing. That's a rough start.
Power of the red. Madame Xanadu. Look at the top card of the main deck. You may put it on the bottom of the main deck. All right. I'm at 3. Attack. Each foe reveals the top card of his deck. If its cost is odd, that player gains a weakness. I'm going to also deal out weaknesses.
All right.
It's going to be a very weakness-heavy game.
Start with
but
Apocalypse. I will discard that weakness. Thank you. Then I've got 7.
Yeah, wow, nobody had a cost 1, 2, or 3 card in their hand.
I think we're going to go with the Matrix.
Yeah. If you can hit a hero or villain with that, that would be remarkably strong. So.
Yes. That's
All right, I've got
Where's my
5,
5?
and a good power ring just came up, so I'm going to take that.
Isn't that a little redundant because they're all good except for the red?
Well, I was going to take the red one anyway, and then another one came up.
Okay, so I have an attack. Each foe destroys a starter in their hand or discard pile. Each who does gains a weakness. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that puts me at 6 power.
I'm going to be drowning in weaknesses very
I
soon.
will reveal Blue Beetle instead.
How, 2 hands in a row?
Row, apparently.
Okay, so let's see here with... So with 6 power, I'm going
I will
to take...
defend also with, with Dr. Destiny. So I get to draw 2 cards, and then put a card from my hand on top of my deck.
Okay. And with my 6, I'm going to take Robin and a kick.
It's going to be one of those games.
It happened there, buddy.
4. I'm taking a kick.
All right. Doug, what do you get?
I'm going to start with Apocalypse and draw Jarvis. Jarvis. I'll destroy that vulnerability. Pretty good start here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And yeah, we're gonna go with Trisha because she's the only hero or villain available for me to buy.
Necron. Attack. Each player totals the cost of the cards in his hand. The player or players with the highest total destroys a random card in his hand. Each other player chooses and destroys a card in his hand. So everybody needs to declare whether they're defending before we get the totals. That was Doug's turn, so I'm first. I'm not defending. Dave?
I am not defending.
I'm not defending.
I am not defending.
I'm sure I'll have the highest cost because, I'm in the worst
I have
position.
16.
Oh, wow. I have 12.
Actually, I also have 16.
I have 3.
Okay. So Dave and I both destroy a random card in our hand, and Doug and
I was
Jason.
wondering how that was going to go.
Yeah.
Player or players?
Yep. I think that's the first time I've ever seen it hit 2 people, though.
It is not. I've seen it hit 3.
Good choice, Doug. 1 punch in my hand and you hit it. All right.
That could have gone a lot worse for me. Not
Had to
gonna
be the
lie.
weakest cards in both of their hands.
Gonna lead with the Black Lantern Corps to give you guys weaknesses. Especially
That
now
happens.
that Jason or Doug just got rid of his Blue Beetle that he had been holding on to.
So it hits me first. Or hits you first. Then hits me, then it hits Doug.
All right, so that's 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11.
Ah, okay.
Wow, that's pretty straightforward. Destroying that weakness. Because I didn't need that power because I've got enough there to get Necron. Playing the orange power ring to gain a power ring is always so satisfying.
Each player gains a weakness for each villain in the lineup. Woohoo!
Lex Luthor sucks.
I know, right now he does this game. Alright, Dave.
Okay.
But what if we were going to defend?
We could. We're free to. But I'm
Well,
pretty sure
let's
anybody
see.
who was going to would have piped up by now.
So, I'm going to do this way because I don't know if all players includes me.
It does.
It does.
So I'm glad I did it that way
Yeah.
because this isn't that bad a hand. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what will I get?
The question would be, would you get 4 power? Are you likely to get 4 power from 4 cards?
Right.
Because you get the 2 from the mask anyway.
Right.
So you're really only getting 4 power.
Oh, I
and so
suppose
if
because
you-
that stays down there.
That stays down there. So that would be the consideration.
Ah, okay. Good to know for future reference.
Yep.
Kryptonite.
I think the bigger concern, though, is he doesn't get to shuffle Ra's al Ghul back in if he discards him to the Rorschach mask. That's the reason why you would take the safe bet that he's doing this time.
And
Yeah,
I
but-
had thought about that too.
And 7's a good number right now for him.
I take it he's reading the 7, whatever. That
He's reading the 5 that would
Yeah.
go with
Yeah.
the Batarang.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that is. I just didn't read it out loud because you guys were having discussion. So this is Kryptonite, +2 power, attack. Each foe who does not discard a weakness gains a weakness. Which could be an interesting one, the way this game is turning out.
Yeah.
And actually, given some of the equipment effects that I have, taking that in Batarang is not a bad idea.
I don't know. I think he got into 10. Because the odds of him not pulling 1 more equipment off of his 4 draw is pretty low.
If he'd been more aggressively seeking equipment, I'd be inclined to agree with you, but I'm not
He
sure.
has been. Almost every. He's got Starbolt and a kick, and one or two other things, but everything else has been equipment for the most part.
Well, I
Harley.
appreciate your confidence. Well, I'm putting a punch on top.
Me too.
That's a starter from the discard.
Yep.
Yes. Punch or vulnerability, actually. Which doesn't matter in this game, but could matter in other games.
Heat vision. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Phobia. Attack. Each foe discards a card from their hand into the discard pile of any player other than the attacker and anyone who avoided this. Well, I've been buying heroes. This is a bad combination of point totals for 7 if I want to get Hawk Girl. But I think possession is the right call.
Wow. I'm kind of shocked by that, to be honest.
Yeah, I probably would have went with Hot Girl and
Either of the
Phobia.
4s.
With the amount of attacks that are going around,
yeah. I
3 power in 1 card, plus everyone resolves their attacks in hand against themselves. I mean, other than that, it's Hawk Girl and a kick. You know?
start with Apocalypse. I will discard it. Telepathy, discarding a card to draw. 2, 4, 5, 6. And I'll go with the combo that must have been picked up, or would have picked up.
All right.
I've got 4 weaknesses in my deck, and there's going to be more. I got to start doing something to try to disrupt the guys that are trying to run away with the game here.
While we're discussing attacks, attack each player or each foe chooses and discards a card.
You know, I mean, if I had 1 more power, I could have got that and Hot Girl. That's why I
Right.
said it's a bad turn to, or it's a bad combination for 7 right now.
Alright, and then Starro. Attack. Each foe discards the top card of his deck, and I may play each non-location discarded that way. So I get 2 punches. Puts me at 4 so far.
And a punch.
Literally anything that costs 1 or more from any of you changes this turn dramatically. I'm at 5. So that makes 8.
Don't worry, Richard. You're in first place right
I'll
now.
take Dr. Midnight and the Batmobile.
All right, so I have 2 punches, Batarang, which gives me an extra 1 power. Helmet of Fate lets me draw a card,
And
which is a kick, and I was going to do that
Okay.
next. So now I can draw 2 cards and then discard a card. Let's see here. Can I look through this before I choose and
Yes.
discard?
In theory, you have that kick in your hand too, because your Stargo would have, or your Wonder Girl would have triggered before that.
yes. So if you feel the need to discard the kick, that is an option.
You guys lost me a little bit there.
So
This
both,
triggers before you could have played the kick that you drew off of Nightwing.
so kick is in your hand, so
Yes.
you've got 3 cards in your hand. And if you're counting because of Starbolt, that would be the call to do, in my opinion, depending upon what the 3rd mystery card would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see here.
You bought the Hot Girl, Doug.
I did.
And what else?
Phobia. because it was a villain.
So you said that I could discard the kick?
Yes, you can.
And then have these two?
Yes.
So we're going to go with that. And yeah, I have Starbolt, so that gets an extra power there. And then the other one is actually Robin, so I can put an equipment from my discard into my hand. And that's why I was sitting there trying to figure out what route to go.
I missed that you picked up Robin at some point.
And I think I'm going to go with Kryptonite. And let's see here.
Can you move
Do I
those
contr-
towards the middle of the table a little bit
Sorry.
so viewers can see? Thank you.
Kryptonite does.
Each
Yes.
foe who does not discard a weakness, is that right?
Yes.
Gains a weakness. So I will discard a weakness.
I too will discard a weakness.
Not me. I'll add one to my collection.
You have too many. They can't be in your hand at once.
Okay, and then let's see here.
So you also
If I
triggered
have-
Skitter.
which is what I was
because
just
of
looking
Helmet
at.
of Fate, Batarang, and Robin.
So that's another 3 power.
Yes. So you're at...
So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
yeah.
So I will take Lex Luthor. And then I need to figure out something to do with the other 6. What does this one do?
Couple options.
2 power and an additional 1 power for each other superpower you control. That's actually not bad, considering that I have some cards that make me want to pick those up periodically. Ongoing, first time you destroy a card during each of your turns, draw a card. That could actually be very useful this game. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. So Titan's Memorial and Lex Luthor, and now I try to
Okay.
get all those cards back.
So who we got?
The brain. Each player flips their superhero face down until this villain is defeated.
Defend.
All right.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Heat vision. Power of the red. 5. Night Owl Mask, plus 2 power and choose 2 players. Each chosen player draws a card, then destroys the top 2 cards of the main deck. Huntress, plus 2 power. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile for each villain you buy or gain this turn. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll take Huntress to help me try to attempt to destroy my pile of weaknesses. Don't worry, Doug. You get Saint Walker.
Alright, so start with Apocalypse. It's a villain.
That's not a bad flip off of Apocalypse.
That's not a bad flip. Firestorm Matrix. Play the weakness.
Well, you play it regardless.
Yeah.
It's just a question of whether you want to...
No, I will not destroy the Matrix for that.
But you could.
Jarvis. Destroy the punch. Alright, so I'm a grand total of 0.
1.
1. For the power. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a walker and a kick.
I really wish Saint Walker had stayed out there.
I almost couldn't.
Harvest. I get to gain all heroes from the lineup and put one into my hand. World's Mightiest Mortal.
Next time you complain, I'm gonna jump across this table and try to kick you.
Well, I might as well put them out because they're coming out anyway. That'll make 6. I would have really liked to have had 8 left.
Aw, poor Richard. You know what, Richard? Why don't you just take everything? Just go ahead, man.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Night Owl Mask and Harley. All right, Dave.
All right. So I'm gonna start with Rage Blood. Choose any number of players. Each of them destroys a card 0 value in his discard pile. If one or more foes destroy a card this way, draw a card. So I'm going to just pick all 3 of you.
Okay.
But you can pick yourself also.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Destroy a card with cost 0. Yeah, I think I have one of those.
I don't have any because I don't have a discard pile.
So I'm going to. Is that the destroy pile over there?
Yep.
Way over there. Yep.
Okay, so I get to draw a card because of that. Cool. Shimmer. Each foe destroys a starter in their hand or discard pile. Each who does gains a weakness. And then it's Batarang and a punch. So that is 2, 4, 6, and 7.
Yep.
That was the correct order to do that. Rage Blood and then Shimmer, so you
Yes.
can't destroy it.
Conveniently, I got Shimmer off of Rage Blood.
Indeed.
What is this? Cat-like reflexes, superpower. +1 power. When you are attacked, you may reveal this card. If you do, draw a card.
Pretty strong for the table at the moment.
Actually,
There are a lot of
that's-
attacks bouncing around.
That's true. And I
And
said
it does
I have
allow you to
7.
defend after you draw that card, in case you're wondering.
So then I'll just get these 2.
All right. Harley.
I do not have a punch or vulnerability in my discard pile.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Fairly certain I do.
Possession. Each foe reveals their hand, then resolves each attack in their hand against themselves.
Not defending.
Well, that's not an attack. I don't have any attacks.
I also don't.
Okay.
I don't think I have any attacks.
5, 6. Top card of the main deck. You may put it on the bottom. I'll let that stay there. 6.
All right, Doug, you're up.
The order of things. We'll go with Apocalypse to reveal my punch and discard it. I will play Telepathy, discarding Kick to draw a card. I take Hero, gets me to 5. Hot Girl gets me to 6. 7. 8.
9, 10, 11.
9, 10, 11. Yep. Question is, do I take it? Yeah.
So what are you pondering presently, Doug?
Well, I know I have Blue Beetle in my next hand. So I know I can defend against the supervillain. Because he's not in my discard pile, and there's 5 left in my main deck. I'm also debating letting it ride another round, where I'm the only one with a hero, and taking the almost a supervillain anyway.
Sure.
And then a kick. But I think I'm going to go with the defense on the supervillain attack.
So the rest of us get our superheroes back. And who we got, Jason?
Sinestro. Each player reveals his hand and discards a card for each hero revealed this way.
Doug revealed a hero. He's got to discard a card.
I defended.
I have no heroes. Dave has to discard a card.
Just a card.
Yes.
So I have to discard 2 cards. Because,
Yeah, you can't have Silky and a punch in your hand at the same time. That's not fair.
well, I'm not allowed to, do anything this game.
All right, so I've got 3 power for a kick.
All right. So I have Kid flashed. Let me draw a card. Which gets me up to 4 punches. Suddenly we're back at the beginning of the game. I think... Amanda Waller. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. If it's a villain, plus power equal to cost. If you choose not to, plus 2 power. That seems like a good choice given how this game's going.
All right, Jason.
Jetpack. One, 2, 3, 4. Wow.
We're gonna lead with Apocalypse. Top card is not a villain. And you can stay there. Which means I'm going to, well, yeah. Okay. So, Phobia. Each foe discards a card from their hand into the discarded pile of any player who is not me or who has not defended.
I am not defending, Dave.
Can I hear that attack one more time?
You discard into a player's discard pile who has not defended and isn't me from your hand.
Who has not defended and isn't you.
Right.
I will not defend.
Jason?
I'm not defending.
Okay. I will discard a punch into Dave's discard pile.
I will discard a weakness into your discard pile.
Oh, man. Doug?
2, 5, 7. And I don't have enough superpowers to make Connor worth it. We're gonna go with green. Oh, he's one more VP though. We're gonna go with the extra VP.
Okay. I'm going to lead with Necron to blow up that weakness I just got, plus the 2 that I already had. And I get to draw 3 cards. I'm going to go with the Red Lantern Power Ring. I'll destroy Punch. And we'll go with Dr. Midnight. I will leave those 2 there. I'll switch the order. And I will go with Starro. Each foe discards the top card of his deck.
Nope.
I may play each revealed non-location card discarded this turn. I get to play a weakness.
I think I am going to defend, and that'll let me draw 2.
You only discarded 1 extra card, so the punch was already there, wasn't
Oh,
it?
is that only for the extra?
Yes.
It's cards discarded
Number
this
of-
way. And
Oh, other cards.
Helmet of Fate is a card you discarded.
No,
that
it
way.
says specifically other cards.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so I don't get to do anything but that weakness. Fun. All right, and then kick Aqualad for 4, and Harley Quinn attack. Each foe puts a punch or vulnerability from the discard pile on top of their deck. So I have 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Did you, Harley David?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I just had there's still a punch in your discard, so.
Yep.
Actually going to take the Black Lantern Martian Manhunter and a kick.
Okay. So, Shimmer. Each foe destroys a
Brain.
starter
I do not have a starter in my hand.
or discard pile.
Did you destroy one?
No.
Then you don't get a weakness.
Yeah.
If you don't have a starter, you just reveal your hand because you haven't.
So, do you not have one in your discard pile either?
Oh, it's or discard pile?
Yep, it
It's
is.
hand or discard.
Oh, I do have one. Sad. I forgot that hit discard pile too.
Yep. And then Rachel Ghoul. So that will give me 5. So let's see here. Emerald Knight, remove an equipment hero or superpower from the lineup, play it, then return it to the lineup at the end of your turn. Black Lantern Power Ring. You may gain a villain from the destroyed pile and put it into any player's discard pile. If you choose not to, +2 power.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but there are no villains.
There
in
are
this
no
discard pile?
villains.
Okay.
There is one hero, and then there's starters and weaknesses.
Of course, if I choose not to, +2 power, and with Nightwing, that's actually +3.
Sure.
So it could be good that way. Or I could pick up another Amanda Waller and have more ability to destroy things.
You could do that.
And there's a whole lot of weaknesses getting thrown around in this game. So I think I'm going to do that, actually.
Jason?
Robin. Reveal the top card of your deck if it's equipment plus power to the revealed card's cost, otherwise draw it. Mr. Zaz. Attack. Each foe reveals the top card of their deck. If its cost is odd, that player gains a weakness.
Even.
That's even. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. Can't let that be out there. Alright.
Wondering if it was yet another power ring.
Could've
Emerald
been.
Knight. Remove an equipment hero or superpower from the lineup. Play it, then return it to the lineup at the end of your turn. Take that. It's 5.
So Johnny Quick or a kick.
Yeah. Take that.
You know you want it, Doug.
Options.
It's another reveal defense.
Yes. I need all of them, apparently. We're going to start with Apocalypse. I will discard it. Brain. St. Walker. I'm at 0. Kick puts me at 2. High kick hero puts me at 5, 6, 7, 8. $10, 11, 12, 13, 14. $17 for the power.
Yep.
And I'm going to take the ring so Richard doesn't get 3 power rings.
The impervious is out there for you, Doug.
I know, but, you know, that
hate
power
you
ring's
so
worth
much.
7 VP for you.
I know. And I was going to get it for free, too. What's Mordru do?
Each player discards a card with cost 3 or greater.
I am not defending, Dave.
I'm not defending.
Me either.
Doug.
I'm not defending.
I will discard my Batmobile.
We'll discard Robin.
Cost 3 or greater, correct?
Yes.
And I lost Tana.
Jarvis.
Who I don't think you've actually played. You've discarded her. For other
I
effects.
played her one time.
Okay.
I'm going to guess it's too late to change what I did.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Why did you have an equipment? Oh, Starbolt with no superpowers in your discard pile. That works. All right, I am going to lead with Black Lantern Core. Each foe gains a weakness. If one or more foes do not gain a weakness, I draw a card.
Hits you first.
Now I got to take a weakness.
Okay, I'm not defending.
And you get to draw a card.
Yay!
Because I don't gain a weakness.
Speaking of drawing cards, attack. Each foe chooses to discards a card, which is the opposite of drawing.
See, you wanted that one weakness way back when.
I'm going to go with
For sure.
World's Mightiest Mortal. Oh, well, that settles that. I hate you so even more now, Doug. Orange Lantern Power Ring. Blue Lantern Power Ring.
Shut up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you bury the green ring? Is that what happened with Madame Zenner?
No, it was Parasite.
Oh, okay.
And then 2, so that's 6, 11, 13, 15, 18. And we've got Cobra. Each player reveals the top 5 cards of his deck and discards all cards with cost 1 or greater and put the rest back in any order.
Cost 5 or greater get discarded?
1 or greater, isn't it?
1 or greater.
Yeah.
So,
I'm actually going to defend with Dr. Destiny.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Review.
I can't defend, so
It's a 1 or greater.
Yes.
that
Okay,
means that
so
all of those get
boom.
discarded.
Boom. And then junk gets
Back in any
left.
order. Yep.
Alright. So, Kid Flash, draw a card. 2 punches and Robin. Ooh, let me take. Which one do I feel like getting now?
Now you've got some targets for Robin. That actually worked out almost in your favor.
Almost. I kind of had one that gave me the same amount of power in there already. But instead, I'll just take Kryptonite. Each foe who does not discard a weakness gains a weakness.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind too with that is that it distinctly helps all of us now at this point because there's no weaknesses here to be gained.
That's
It
true.
only gives us the opportunity to.
I actually hadn't even seen that was gone.
Yeah.
So,
It is still
well.
2 power for him, so
3 power.
I'm going to
I was counting
discard a
that.
weakness.
Isn't it 1 power normally?
It's 2 power.
Oh, okay.
So that actually ends up with 3, 4, 5, 6. What does Robin do? Reveal the top card of your deck if it's an equipment, plus power equal to the revealed card's cost, otherwise draw it. Sure.
Did you want Talon also?
Victory point, why not?
Okay.
Possession. Everyone reveals their hand and
No
resolves.
attacks.
No attacks.
Of course not.
No attacks.
Okay. You're lucky because I was going to clayface that, or I am clayfacing it.
Sure.
6.
Still no attacks.
Still no attacks.
7, 8.
I don't have any punches or vulnerabilities in my discard pile. Neither does Doug, but Dave probably does. You got to put a punch or vulnerability from your discard pile on top of your deck.
Oh yeah, really.
Doug, what do you got?
Not much. Start with Apocalypse to discard the weakness. We will Firestorm Matrix to play the punch. punch. Telepathy for 4. That's what we're going with.
Sure, you had to do that, didn't you? Alright, well, I'm going to lead with Necron, destroying a punch and vulnerability from my hand and a weakness from my discard pile to draw 3 cards.
The rich get richer.
I'm going to play Night Owl Mask, choosing myself and Jason, so we each draw a card and then we destroy the top 2 cards of the main deck. Which are a Telepathy and an Nth Metal.
Extendable Head and Book of Magic.
No, that's not each of us. It's just
Oh.
just destroy the top 2. Yep. Then I will gain all heroes from the lineup and put one into my hand.
You know, I can kind of see why they've nerfed the super villains and superheroes as time has gone on, because like the people who are fortunate enough to generate the power to buy them to begin with just continue to steamroll on people with those effects. Because you compare like Harvest and Necron, which are from the first 3 core sets, versus some of the, you know, superheroes or villains that are in the latest sets. The newer ones tend to be a lot weaker in effect, in my opinion, than some of the older ones that came out in the original sets. I mean, you look at something like the Forever Evil superhero stack. A lot of those are, you play up to 3 equipment from the destroyed pile, and then you can put them underneath.
Right.
You know, that tends to be a lot weaker effect than like Necron and Harvest.
I don't know. That can be really powerful.
Yes, it
depending
can
upon
be
your-
ridiculous.
It can be, but look at what
It's
you have to
a
go
little less
through.
reliable, yeah.
You have to go through extraordinary means really to get, you know, 3 superpowers or 3 equipment or whatever it might be into the destroy pile versus, oh, I'm just going to destroy all the trash in my hand and discard pile and then draw that many cards. You know, or I'll gain all the heroes in the lineup and play them.
All right, so I'm at 13. Oh, sorry, 16. Take Cobra, and I'll take Cinder Block. Actually, that leaves me enough for Insanity also. Dave, what do you got?
We got a super villain, don't we?
Yes.
Oh, I
I
suppose.
thought someone picked it up already.
Ha'el. Each player reveals the top 3 cards of his deck. Choose one of them with cost 1 or greater, then destroy it. Discard the rest.
Defend with acrobatic agility.
This is going to be bad. Oh, it
Discard
wasn't as
the
bad as
rest?
I thought.
So we discard just one that's actually worth
Destroy
something?
one that's
Destroy,
worth something,
right.
and then the rest get discarded. Nope, not put back on top.
Oh, discarded. Sorry.
Yep.
Someday I'm gonna have to try playing this game when I can actually be awake.
All right, what do you got, Dave?
Okay. So, Batarang, which will be a total of 3, and another Batarang, which technically gives me multiple draw things, and I can't quite remember how that all worked
You
out.
pick the order.
Chores, yeah, you choose.
So you probably want to just draw 1 and then draw 2 and then discard 1, because the
Yeah.
1 can be any of the 3 then.
Draw 1, and then draw 2, and then it doesn't.
It can also be anything that's already in your hand,
Yeah.
too. So if you still got a vulnerability, maybe that'd be a better target than a punch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. And then I have the Rorschach mask and 3 punches. And let's
That's
see. Here.
10.
Is it?
Yep.
Cool. And I might as well just grab that to round it out so I can have another victory
Yep.
point.
All right. Dramatic footage of people sorting and counting cards.
Not that dramatic.
So dramatic.
Now just watch. Somebody's gonna like pull up footage online and start like putting it to all kinds of movie soundtrack stuff.
One power ring.
Again, Doug, I hate you so much for that power ring.
I know.
18.
I had more than that just from my supervillains.
I'm working on it.
Wow. 5 weaknesses. Ouch.
Would have been 13 if it wasn't for my green arrow.
$58.
Wow, you had a lot of higher power cards, didn't you?
Higher VPs? Yeah, I had the 3 power rings. That's 9.
Yeah, that would do it.
44?
34.
34. Okay.
$31.
Okay. That game was every bit as one-sided as it felt.
Yeah.
Good to know. So apart from play Green Lantern and have things go your way, what do we have for takeaways from that game?
I got wrecked by your guys' weakness dispensal or weakness attacks.
So yes, buy cards that give other people weaknesses early is a good thing to take away.
I mean, my big slow up was the fact that I was playing behind Lex Luthor, and
There really came a point where that didn't matter.
toward the end there a little bit, yeah, but it slowed me down, and it's hard enough having to get 2 of a type to trigger your guy.
Well, that's the thing, though.
He was
I
stuck
mean,
mostly comboing off of villains. He didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single turn where he comboed both heroes and villains, which
Right.
is the point of choosing Martian Manhunter, so that's kind of rough.
well, so you're
You might have
choosing
been better with Wildcat.
You're choosing Martian Manhunter, and then you're complaining when 50% of your card types are getting bought up by 3 other players. I mean, realistically, you have to expect that. And I would look at that card and say, well, at least I'm getting 1/2 of that. Whereas, like, Lex Luthor is all heroes. So there were several times where, like, Richard and Dave were buying up heroes that I wanted. I think there was 3 turns in a row where Dave bought a hero that I was going to grab. So the same thing applies to me. Sitting behind Dave with his strategy was hurting me more than I think that my strategy was hurting you. I would make that argument. But
I've never used Lex Luthor, so I honestly didn't even realize that's what you were looking
And-
for.
and I think Dave had a pretty good setup. He was
Yeah.
getting equipment. He was doling out weaknesses with attacks.
Yeah, it worked out okay.
Although I do
I think he
think that
deviated.
you underestimated the importance of equipment, and there were a lot of times where you could have bought an equipment that was out there and you opted for something else.
That
where
is
I
true.
think you kind of hurt yourself.
That is probably
So
true.
you did start deviating, especially at the end, away from equipment, which was
Right.
diluting your deck
Because
a little
that
more.
second equipment is such a big swing. Drawing 3 cards and discarding one is a big deal.
Yeah,
That
that's
is-
pretty huge.
yeah.
Because there's a world of difference between the turns where you actually did get that second equipment and the turns that you didn't.
One,
Yeah.
what's Skitter trigger off of?
Cards
If
with
you
cost
control-
1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
If you control 4 different cards with cost 1, 2, or 3.
And there were times where you passed up on equipment that was cost 1, 2, or 3 that you could have bought in favor of something else. And the something else would have to be really good to risk not
Yeah.
triggering all 3 of those. Because that's a big swing. That plus
That
3.
one is.
Yeah, plus
That
2
one
power
is.
is a big swing.
That would have been good to get more often.
I understand what you're saying, Doug, and to a certain extent, I agree with you there. But look at the quality of the game that I had versus what you had. How many supervillains did you buy? I had 0. You had Blue Beetle. You had what other powerful heroes?
I'd say
You got Saint Walker.
half of the turns I was able to trigger Martian Manhunter is because I drew into it with Apocalypse. Or I was able to Apocalypse whatever junk was on top and then draw into it with Telepathy or the brain and
Monsieur Milan.
right. 'Cause I had to draw into whatever the second one was. A lot of those times. So if I didn't have Apocalypse, I'd have been right there with you, I think. as far as my point total. Because the only times I got supervillains were I had 2 or 3 plus 10 or 10 plus turns. So it wasn't. I ended up better because I was able to pick up those supervillains. But without those supervillains, I was sub 20.
Right, and I'm not saying that you didn't have a bad game. I mean, you and I were definitely in the ditch there for a substantial amount of turns compared to Richard and Dave.
I think the better point for looking at that is going to be the question of imagine what your game would have looked like if you were sitting behind Doug.
I think that, yeah.
I think that's the
difference.
perspective that you need to have. Is that it did hurt him to be behind you, but yeah, you're right that it could have been a much bigger deal. But yeah, if you had been behind him, you would have had like 8 points maybe.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I would have had less options. He would have got the first pick of the heroes that were out there. But, what did I really get? I got a Green Lantern or a Green Arrow. You got Saint Walker. You got Blue Beetle. I had Silky.
That
Zatanna.
you never played once.
Yeah. Because I needed the power from my punches,
Right.
Yeah,
I got
that
Zatanna, I
one
had Madame
cost Silky
Xanadu.
is potentially 3 power for me. Instead of me having to pick up a kick is kind of the difference there.
Are we really arguing about Silky?
No,
I mean, are you really saying the fact that I bought Silky hurt you that badly, Doug?
At the beginning of the game, yes. Because
I mean, does this not sound
It's
ridiculous to
impossible
anyone
to
else?
really gauge the impact,
Well,
but
right.
it's just the point is it did affect him because
The
he
turn
would
you
have been much stronger with that Silky, oddly enough, because he would have been triggering his +3 from heroes more.
and
often.
The
admit it,
heroes that I bought did not have an impact on the game nearly as much as the heroes that Doug ended up buying.
the turn that we're talking about, I believe was turn 1, and you picked up Harley and Silky, and I had to pick up a kick instead of those 2. That is a huge,
I
that's
agree.
a huge
That
swing.
is a big play on turn 1 for you to follow. That particular turn was, a villain and a hero for your villain and hero dude, where
Right.
you only have starters in your deck at that point. I agree that sucks to be behind.
Because I was playing behind the person picking up heroes, I think it was turn at least 4 before I got a hero or a villain. Was the problem. Because you were also grabbing heroes or villains, and it was because you were picking up it was admittedly villains that are good for you because it was what's Kid Flash but a villain? I'm blanking on the name. Johnny Quick. And stuff like that, where that's what you should pick up regardless of what you're playing as. But it just happened to be your best pickup when it wasn't a hero, was a villain.
Well, right. That's just pure coincidence, too. And, conversely, like I mentioned, there was, I think Dave bought Amanda Waller 2 turns in a row where
Yes.
I was desperate for that Amanda Waller. I needed to start destroying those weaknesses. Plus, it was a hero.
Yep.
And that impacted me,
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody's arguing that Dave and I didn't hurt you with the heroes that we bought. I don't think I bought very many. I mostly just gained them with Harvest. But still, that's a big deal
and
for you.
that was
Harvest
huge.
cleaned up a lot
There
of
was
stuff.
2 turns, I think you gained 2 heroes out of the
Yes.
lineup with Harvest.
Yeah.
So that was just, again, the rich get richer type of thing, where maybe not necessarily, Richard gained so much capability by gaining those heroes, but then just taking them off the table for me and Doug, that was control.
Well, yeah, and one
While
of them
you were
being
already
World's
ahead.
Mightiest Mortal for the +5
Well,
power.
right.
Yeah,
Was
that was a big one.
That was just a good card. You just kept getting good cards.
And then gaining 2 power rings with the Orange Lantern ring. Also hard to argue.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Doug, and I think both of us were behind the 8 ball from the beginning because Richard and Dave took off
Yeah.
almost immediately.
My only point is you will start out slower if you're playing behind someone who's also going for your card type or one of your card types because
Well,
the
right, yeah, I mean, I
odds
agree. That
dramatically
it
decrease.
certainly is not the optimal position to be in, and that's usually why I don't like taking cards that are specific to a certain strategy. I generally like to play in a generic manner. And I like heroes that reflect that because of these types of situations where I need all the heroes in order to do anything relevant. And especially as you get more players in the game, the likelihood that those people might also have the same type of card type strategy as you, or just people randomly take, like this, this is ultra strength and it's just good, so I'm going to buy it. And then that hurts the guy playing Superman, So that's just all the different variables that come into play in this game.
All right, so I'm going to segue from that into a consideration of expanding a little bit our superhero selection. I'm going to get some of your feedback, and viewers, of course, feel free to chime in with your input. But these are basically the 3 strongest of the heroes that we had removed for being too weak. And I think that as we've tuned the selection matrix and the selection process, that we've reached the point where these guys are good enough to include. The reason I'm a little bit hesitant and is that would really make playable our largest category by a large margin. So what I was considering to account for that impact was that we would allow going up from a max of 3 playable that you could play to 4.
The thing is, we'd have to, in that instance, I think, our standard is we get 6 cards to pick from.
Yes.
We'd have to go to 7.
I was actually thinking 8, but yes.
Okay. My point is we'd have to increase it at any
Right,
rate.
yes. And it's a ripple effect.
I don't think that with our current mix of heroes, we get very often where we get 3 playables in our 6 as is.
Right.
I think usually...
But it has happened.
2.
We've had people who've gotten like 4 playables and their hero selection is awfully weak.
Yeah, but if you're getting 4 playables, you're gonna be able to combo up with either your very good or goods.
Not if the rest of your other 2 are elites, which was what happened in that particular game.
Right, but then you have an elite you can pick from if you don't like your mixture of 3 playables. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't have options because you can take either of your 2 elites, which are elites because they're that good, or you have a combination of a 3 out of 4 that. So I don't think having to expand to the 4 playables, the question would be a balancing issue of is 4 random playables as strong as an elite, or stronger than an elite. Right.
Well, if 4 playables isn't as strong as an elite, then we really shouldn't be limiting people to 3 playables.
Right. Well, that's why it is stronger than an elite, is what I was saying.
Okay, sure.
And
I think there might be combinations where that could be said to be true. Like if you were to get Wonder Girl and Mr. Terrific. Let's see.
Star Sapphire in this instance.
Yeah, and then Star Sapphire and Robin.
Right. Or Red Robin.
Yeah. Like, introducing this really does kind of emphasize the playables on equipment.
Right. Where's our equipment-based heroes currently? I know we got Batman and...
Batman is very strong. Cyborg is elite.
Nightwing and...
Nightwing and Night Owl are good.
Both good. So we're...
And then the rest of them, the Wonder Girl and Mr. Terrific, and these 3, if we include them, would be
So
playable.
with these 3 in particular, we might be seeing more equipment-based strategies, which I think is probably good, because people don't usually go toward equipment, because in my opinion, as a general card type, it's the weakest of the card types, and it's the least, I think it's the least common out of the main deck, or close to it. Maybe that's changed since we've added Teen Titans Go and.
I I guess it's
confrontations.
still pretty much in the same spot. Yeah.
Okay.
It hasn't been.
So it's still roughly 5% less than villains as far as a.
I couldn't give you those numbers,
Yeah.
but it's in that neighborhood.
It used to be right around there. Yeah. Where you're, I think it was like 14 to 19% or something like that, with some change in there. So that's a consideration. I think is how often are we seeing equipment-based strategies? Obviously, we did tonight, and then having them succeed.
Sure.
Versus a.
We're definitely not running into an issue of too much equipment-based dominance.
Right. So adding these three, which are equipment-based playables, seems like it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
And I think that making multiple changes all at the same time makes it harder to isolate
Sure.
what the potential problem could be. So I would say throw these three in and then see what happens.
Sure.
Well, I
And
would
then
think
we can
too.
adjust.
You know, the more you increase the amount of heroes that are going to be utilizing equipment, you're going to increase that competition between players.
Right.
You know, so this guy might get 2 heroes that work with equipment, and so might that guy, and now they're going to be fighting each other over those cards, so their power is going to be diminished. I think that has to be a consideration, at least, in the balancing factor of a equipment-based strategy.
Sure. I mean, you're going to be seeing games where one person picks Cyborg and somebody else picks Batman and Star Sapphire.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, I feel like Cyborg has the advantage because he can fall back on the superpower strategy.
Sure.
Yep.
And Batman's just equipment.
Which is why one's elite and one's very strong.
Right.
So I think adding these three works. I definitely don't have any objections to adding them to the playable.
All right.
But I don't think we should be expanding to another card to pick from necessarily quite yet, or to make it 4 playable, because I don't think the scenario is going to come up where you're hitting 4 playable very often anyway.
Sure.
Unless we expand the hero selection. And then people tend toward elites anyway, and if we are all drawing 8 as an option, more often it's going to be 4 elites that are duking it out.
That's a fair consideration. Yeah.
Well, I would say, though, too, that adding more cards to the pool, it's going to create more competition with the elites, and it's, you know, going to create those scenarios where people might go with other combos as opposed to just the singular elite. Then the question is, okay, now does this added volume to the card pool create scenarios where we never pick elites? I don't think that's ever going to be.
Yeah, I don't think we're even close to running into that situation.
Right.
Because even tonight, 3 of us, who all had good selections that weren't elite, still opted for. Well,
I didn't really have a good selection.
2 of whom had good options that weren't elite.
I had 0
Still
synergy
opted
with
for
my
the elite.
playables and my very strong. Or good.
Well,
yeah.
You know, if I made my choice before I knew what Doug was playing, but if
Right.
I had known, I would have gone with Aquaman and Starfire.
Sure.
But
yeah, I mean, that's the hiccup of playing blind. You know what I mean?
right.
Where you, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. I think that's an advantage of picking blind, because just as you picked without Doug knowing without knowing what Doug had to pick without knowing what you had. Mm-hmm. So you can't be accounting
Right.
for each other.
And you can't intentionally try to hose someone by picking their same type and sitting immediately in front of them. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, I mean
you can't.
that's, you know, there are guys that draft their heroes. You know, that's
Yeah.
part of the strategy of it too. So you could hate draft people in that regard. With, you know, not our system
Right.
obviously, but You know, and you could make the argument too. It's like, okay, our games were worse because we picked blind. You know, and that did it open the door for other strategies to take off? I guess we'll never really know. But I mean, you guys, well, you weren't playing an equipment-based strategy. You had a generic strategy,
Right. I basically ended up taking equipment because Power
there was
Rings
good
came
equipment.
out.
Well, there was a lot of equipment that game too.
Yeah, we got an equipment-heavy mix for whatever reason this time around. It seemed like
Just
in
random.
this-
That's how
right.
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a bad thing. Just this main deck shuffle, it just happened. Equipment
And
happened.
it's
to be
not
on
like we
top.
got through the whole deck either. So.
Right. You'd think that would even out as we went through,
Yeah,
because all of
and it
our
does.
our decks have that same mix between types and everything. So it's just this shuffle was weird.
Yep.
Where it was equipment.
And that's
heavy.
going to happen.
Yeah. So
All right, and then the other thing that I kind of wanted to have as a discussion is the question of, do we want to start also having a second, more expansive format, where instead of doing some of the limitations that we have, where we don't do single player attacks, we don't do non-core rules on the superheroes, we don't include cards that interact with those non-core rules. So, like, for example, with the arrow set, we don't have any cards that'll put cards underneath your superhero. We don't include any of the time travel cards from crossover 3. Do we want to try including a more expansive set where we can try out some of the heroes that we usually only get to play with when we play their own crossover?
I think the problem is all of those heroes would be playable. They would all be in that playable category because they're so dependent on their individual thing coming up.
Yeah,
And
the mechanic that the set is based around.
right. And that mechanic isn't necessarily going to be common ever with the way we shuffle our decks together.
Sure.
Unless, yeah.
Yeah, they tell you in the
So-
rules, take the top half of your main deck, shuffle in the crossover cards, and then put that half back on
Right.
there.
And so, I mean, it'd be nice to see those more often, but I think we get a feel for that when we do an Arrowverse game.
Sure.
Where if we want to play with those heroes, we have the option to do that and play, the Arrow crossover, and that's the game we play that night. And then we see those heroes. And it's not, I think we have Felicity and Diggle both.
Yes.
Because those are generic enough. And so it's not like we don't get heroes from those sets. I think we don't have anything from Birds of Prey, do we?
No, we don't,
No.
because those all interact with rotating cards.
Yeah. And so I can't think of any other sets that, other than Go, because we don't deal with the sidekicks. But we could potentially just introduce sidekicks to a standard game and see
Sure.
what happens with that, where, you can just pick the sidekicks up and then no one chooses from the Go starting heroes, and we just have sidekicks as a...
Sure, that would be
Game type.
that'd be a fun game. The one thing that I would mention is that there are a number of the superheroes that don't specifically interact with the mechanic, but they'll introduce the mechanic themselves. The ones that I'm thinking of are specifically some of the heroes from Crossover 3, the Legion of Superheroes, where if the first card you play is of a certain card type, you get to give a card in the lineup time travel, so that you can discard a card to play it. So that does shake things up, and it would be a slightly more expansive way to introduce a little bit of that. And then there's also the other main mechanic that's relevant is victory points from Forever Evil and Rogues and that. So a more expansive one would be to bring that in, because those cards do kind of stand on their own.
Yeah,
Crisis 3 is also victory point
Right.
centric.
Yes.
I think we still have the victory point dilution problem, but I think more of those cards that are single target attack cards we could definitely introduce. like broadsword.
Again, I'm
and-
not suggesting
yeah.
this as like part of our core format. This would be an alternative, expansive format to bring in more cards, more sets, more heroes.
You said delusion, Doug,
Dilution.
of
They're more spread out as we shuffle them into the current mix of cards. The cards that give victory points are going to be less relevant than they are in a regular game of Forever Evil.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
and you really want to use those supervillains too that work with victory points to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that goes right back to what you were saying earlier. You know, they're so based on. I think those are a little more independent, but something like Crossover 2, I think, is a real good example. It's like, okay, you really need to interact those heroes with their supervillain stack and the main deck cards from that set to really get the full effect.
I think a generic expansive format where we say, okay, we're gonna have, let's say, the base set and Forever Evil and Crisis 3. You know what I mean? Where it's not just a Forever Evil strategy, but then you have the option to do the Forever Evil base strategy or a regular or a standard strategy, something like that, where there's some mix of that. But I still think you need to not have our full core set of cards when we do that, because
Then you're not going to see anything relevant. Is what you're saying.
right, yeah,
Sure.
Where if we only do sets, X, Y, and Z, that makes sense. Where it's
Sure.
an expansive thing, or if we did, I mean, it would lead to some weird combinations theoretically, because if we do like Forever Evil and then is it Crossover 3 for the time traveling?
Yes.
That might be interesting to see in play, but it'd be interesting if we could see what people think of it. But yeah.
All right. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube later, we welcome your input. You can email us at thecardgameguys@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook on Facebook/thecardgameguys. Thanks again for tuning in. We are the Card Game Guys. Come play with us.